Chapter 1876. Time to leave. Su Luo and others occupy 3 corners and attacked inside respectively. And the variant acacia tree were wandering around, just like a piece of revolutionary brick, where they need to move and kill the black iron centipedes that had not died yet. In a few rounds of cooperation, hundreds of black iron centipedes were wiped out again. And so on. After killing, they rest in the space gravity. After resting, they started to kill again. In this way, 3 people and 3 spirit pets cooperated seamlessly. In less than half an hour, they even killed over 1,000 of black iron centipedes. The remaining black iron centipedes were scared to death. Within a quarter of an hour, they all dispersed and fled. On the ground were a pile of black iron centipedes. In fact, it could have been faster, but the Yun Luo Red Lotus was in the state of an infant, lying in the Su Luo's space, sleeping soundly, so the battle lasted a little longer. Otherwise, with the help of the Yun Luo Red Lotus, a cluster of different fires would be released. How many black iron centipedes they could kill? At this time, Su Luo and the others were exhausted to the extreme. Lan Xian and Anya Ming haven't returned yet. I don't know if they're okay. Let's go and see. After rested for a while, Su Luo issued an order. As a result, the 3 men quickly walked towards the place where they had disappeared before. It didn't take long for them to appear in front of them. At this moment, the 2 were detaining the girl in purple dress. Are you all right? Lan Xian saw Su Luo and the others were all tired, their forehead dripping sweat, and asked in concern. Su Luo and the others hadn't answered yet, but the girl in purple snorted coldly. If you want to escape the pursuit of the black iron centipedes, how can you do it without fighting with all your might? However, you guys do have some abilities. You really could get rid of the black iron centipedes. The girl in the purple dress was very unconvinced, unreconciled, and was furious when she spoke. Su Luo did not speak. Ziyan walked forward coldly, and measuring the girl up and down. What are you looking at? Look again and I'll dig your eyes out. The girl in purple dress threatened fiercely. At this time, Su Luo thought that it was really hard to understand, and asked with a smile, "Why are you so arrogant as a prisoner? Can you tell me why?" Hearing this, the girl in purple sneered and said, "You foreigners, you want to try to enter and become a member of the Purgatory City, right?" Su Luo touched her nose. Although it didn't hit the mark, but it's not far. The difference was, she had the token given by the master of Purgatory City, which had higher authority than the 3 elders. Hearing this, the girl in purple raised her chin more proudly and snorted coldly. "I'll tell you, the Purgatory City is not the city that you can enter just because you want to. You should leave as soon as possible." "Are you so sure we won't be able to get in?" Su Luo folded her arms and asked with a smile. "You can't go in, so don't even bother with it. Hurry up and let me go, or when my companion comes, all of you would suffer." The girl in purple was very arrogant and has sharp tongue. Are the people from Purgatory City so unreasonable? "Girl, don't forget, if we didn't stop the black iron centipedes just now, your life would be gone." Su Luo raised the corner of her lips to toy with the girl. "Humph," the girl in purple raised her chin very rudely. "It's the honor of you commoners to save my life." Chapter 1877. Time to leave. Well, it seems that even if we die, we should burn an incense, and be grateful to you for giving us this chance to die? Su Luo began to think the girl had a brain problem. "Of course, my grandfather is in Purgatory City. Humph, you commoners." The girl in purple pointed her slender fingers one by one to Su Luo and the others. "You will let me go. Otherwise you are all screwed." "Who is your grandfather?" Ziyan asked curiously. "You have no right to know who my grandfather is, because I'm afraid that I will scare you to death if I say it." The girl in purple was very proud of herself, and her attitude was very arrogant and overbearing. "Well, you have to tell us. Let us know what it's like to be scared to death." Bei Chening winked and cast a glance, making Su Luo almost laugh. "You, humph, since you want to know, let me tell you that my grandfather is in charge of Serene Pavilion." The girl in purple sneered again and again. "Now you can let me go?" There was a strange expression on Ziyan's face, smiling at the girl in purple. "You really don't know me?" The purple girl glanced at Ziyan coldly, and snorted disdainfully. Are you famous? Why should I know you? How could I possibly know you commoners from the outside? The disciple of the dignified master of Purgatory City was depressed. Ziyan turned around silently, looked at Su Luo, and muttered silently. I'm being disdained? You're being disdained? I'm being disdained even more. Su Luo touched her chin speechlessly. Soon after, she poked Ziyan's arm. By the way, where is that serene pavilion? Serene pavilion. Ziyan endured several times, but did not say anything. Who would have thought? The girl in purple dress laughed, pointing to Su Luo, and said scornfully. How can you know the distribution of internal power in Purgatory City? I'll tell you commoners. Serene Pavilion is the residence of Serene Fairy. Who is Serene Fairy? Su Luo was bewildered. She remembered, previously in the aircraft, Ziyan had informed them about some internal power distribution in the Purgatory City, but she didn't mention the so-called Serene Pavilion. But seeing that the girl in purple despised them so seriously, Su Luo thought that this Serene Pavilion, Serene Fairy, should be very great. You haven't even heard of the Serene Fairy. You guys are so ignorant. The girl in purple dress disdained them even more. I'll tell you, the Serene Fairy, that is the last disciple of one of the three elders, second only to the holy maiden Ziyan. Cough. PFF. Ha. For a moment, everyone burst out laughing in unison. Holy maiden Ziyan? Su Luo gave Ziyan a playful look. And when she saw that Ziyan was almost mad, she turned her eyes to the girl in purple. Who is this holy maiden Ziyan, do you know? The girl in purple dress despised Su Luo more and more. With a look of contempt, she sneered scornfully. You don't even know the holy maiden Ziyan, you say. Do you commoners come to Purgatory City to court death? That is the personal disciple of the city master. Such high status, how could I know her? Oh, you don't know. Su Luo coughed quietly, trying to hold back her laughter. Humph. The girl in purple snorted coldly. She hadn't passed the examination of the outer court to enter the inner court. So naturally she didn't know the people who sat up high in prominent position. Chapter 1878. Time to leave. It seems that this holy maiden Ziyan is far more powerful than that Serene Fairy. Su Luo touched her chin, acted like she was anxious to see the world in disorder, and trying to stir up trouble. In fact, she had some interest in this Serene Fairy. Su Luo felt that she seemed to be always in conflict with these fairies. First Li Yao Yao, the Jade Lake Fairy, and then the fairy Yan Xia, who tried every means to chase and kill her. And once again there's another fairy, the Serene Fairy. After listening to Su Luo's words, the girl in purple suddenly became angry. Her chest heaved violently, and her eyes glared at Su Luo. What nonsense are you talking about? Don't talk if you don't understand. What nonsense? Didn't you say it yourself? Holy maiden Ziyan is the personal disciple of the city master. Su Luo looked at the girl with a smile. Ziyan helplessly cast a glance at Su Luo, turned around, and sat leisurely at the side, to cool off in the shade and enjoy the scenery. She thought that if she went on like this, the girl in purple would be toyed with. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but look at the angry girl in purple with great sympathy. That's not true. Although the holy maiden Ziyan is the personal disciple of the city master, she is not the Serene Fairy's rival in terms of strength, prestige, or reputation. Humph. It was said that our Serene Fairy sooner or later would replace Ziyan and become the new generation of holy maiden in Purgatory City. The girl in purple had a great confidence in the Serene Fairy. You Serene Fairy is so powerful? Is her master more powerful than the city master? Su Luo pretended to be curious. That's not true. The master of Serene Fairy is one of the three elders, ranked third. The girl in purple immensely proud of herself. Su Luo was a little speechless and concluded. So, as the granddaughter of the person who ran affairs for the disciple of one of the three elders, you are very proud? Of course proud, aren't you jealous? The girl in purple asked as if it was to be expected and inevitable. Su Luo suddenly had an impulse to touch her forehead. Is she jealous? Is she jealous of the granddaughter of the person who ran affairs for the disciple of one of the three elders? If she really was jealous of the granddaughter who ran affairs for the disciple of one of the three elders, she wondered if the city master would slap her till she became dizzy. All right, you can go. Su Luo suddenly felt powerless, waved and let the girl in purple go. Lan Xian was a little anxious. Really? He and Anya Ming had a hard time catching her. Didn't she say that they are lost now? Let her go, let her go. What are you doing? She's the granddaughter of the person who ran affairs for the disciple of one of the 3 elders. Su Luo said angrily. Humph, now you know how to be afraid. The girl in purple proudly raised her chin and glanced down at Su Luo and the others. But now if you want to leave, it's not so easy. Oh, why do you say that? Su Luo looked very harmless with a smile. In fact, she had already guessed what the girl in purple would say, so she deliberately backed away and pretended to release her. You guys, I'll seize you now. The girl in purple drew a long and thin whip from her waist, pointed to Su Luo and said, Now your only task is to send me out safely from the blood mist forest. The girl in purple also realized that these people's cultivation were not so weak, and there was some value that could be exploited. Why? Su Luo seemed to be in a hurry, staring at her. It's so dangerous here. We are in a hurry to get out. Who would have the time to send you? Besides, you also said, we can't possibly enter Purgatory City at all. Chapter 1879. Angel Castle 1. When they saw that Su Luo was so involved in acting, they didn't expose her, and they cooperated with each other. Bei Qining glanced at the girl with disdain in his eyes. In other words, why should we protect you? It won't do us any good. Lan Xian snorted. Want to hire us? What price are you going to pay? Anya Ming touched his chin and smiled lightly. This price needs to be discussed. As long as Zi Yan, due to her identity, did not participate in the incident. The girl in purple didn't expect these people failed to appreciate favors. She almost collapsed in anger. Her slender fingers one by one pointed to Su Luo and the others. You are all possessed. It's your honor to be able to send me back, don't you know? How dare you bargain? Simply stupid. The people who were labeled as stupid were not angry, but amused. Su Luo pretended to be angry, and led the group of people to turn around and left. Since this girl can't afford the price, we can't enter the Purgatory City, so we might as well go back now. Yes, I think the Blood Mist Forest is also very dangerous. Then there's also a group of black iron centipedes. We could be crushed and died without any dregs. Let's go. Yes, let's go. The group turned back as they spoke. They turned back without hesitation, immediately frightened the girl in purple dress. Hey, how could you do that? Hey, you can't go. The girl in purple was anxious to hold Su Luo and tried to make her stop, but she immediately flung her sleeve, and get rid of it. Hey, stop. The girl in purple stamped her foot. Don't you want to enter Purgatory City? I'll take you in. I'll take you in, okay? Don't you say outsiders won't be able to enter? Bei Qining stared at her maliciously. Which word of yours is the truth? Or are they all lies? I will go ask the Serene Fairy. There must be some ways to get you in. Don't tell me that you still don't believe us? The girl in purple stamped her feet unhappily. Suddenly, her eyes brightened. She took some purple crystal stones from her sleeves and stuffed them all into Su Luo. Take this as an advance payment, okay? 7 purple crystal stones. This girl was very generous. Now Su Luo ran short of crystal stones. Who told her to keep a lot of foodie in her hand? But Su Luo still made a hesitant expression, and extorted 3 more purple crystal stones before finally agreeing half-heartedly. Rich people. Ziyan's eyes were a little envious. The 3 elders were in charge of the Purgatory City's storeroom. Unexpectedly, the little girl in purple also benefited, taking out 10 purple crystal stones in one shot. Su Luo divided the purple crystal stone equally. Bei Qining, Lan Xian, Anya Ming, Ziyan and herself. There were 2 for each person. After stuffing them into their hands, the group happily set out on the road. Along the way, the 3 young people kept teasing the proud girl in purple, holding her up to heaven, and finally learned something from her. The girl in purple's name was Luo Qingyan. This time, she came out with her senior brothers and sisters from the outer court to conduct a hunting assessment. As long as she went back safely, she could enter the inner court. However, Luo Qingyan's team was killed by the magical beast in the Blood Mist Forest. At last, She was the only one who ran out alive. Unfortunately, on the way she provoked the black iron centipedes, so there was that previous scene. Chapter 1880, Angel Castle 2. There is a difference between inner city and outer city in Purgatory City. Luo Qingyan glanced at Su Luo contemptuously. After this, I can enter the inner gate, but you haha. She would like to say that you can't even enter the outer city, but she was not that stupid. She still remembered that these people were tricked by her to escort her back, so in the end she stopped her words. Don't know if the reason was that Su Luo's luck was too good. As they walked on the way, they were so lucky that they didn't provoke any magical beast. In front of them, they could see the edge of the blood mist forest. Let's go. The exit is just ahead. Luo Qingyan was in a hurry, but the moment she lowered her head, there was a strange smile on the corner of her mouth. However, it was caught by Su Luo. What the hell is this girl doing? Su Luo was secretly on guard, but she was calm and her face still smiling as before. Coming out of the blood mist forest, there was heavy fog ahead. The white fog in front lingered in the air. The visibility was very low. Su Luo only saw layer upon layer of stone steps in front of them, extending all the way through. The steps were long, stretched from side to side. They seemed almost endless. Each step was paved with fine white stone, sturdy, tough and beautiful. Let's go. Luo Qingyan smiled strangely at the people. From here on, it's the scope of Purgatory City, but if you want to enter the Purgatory City, first you must pass this Angel Castle. Angel Castle? Su Luo's eyes fell on Ziyan. Ziyan nodded her head imperceptibly. Angel Castle was indeed a way to enter Purgatory City, but it was not the only way. But Luo Qingyan obviously had other plans, so she led them directly to this castle. Luo Qingyan didn't know that the holy maiden Ziyan was standing 1 meter in front of her, so she was still stood there seriously fabricating lies, insufferably bossy and ordering people around as if it should be by right. What are you waiting for? Don't you want to go to Purgatory City? This is the only way to enter Purgatory City. Come on, hurry up. With that, she took the lead and walked on the steps. The only way? Ziyan's smile became more profound. So she leaned over to Su Luo and muttered a few words. The voice was so low, so that young girl Luo, who took the lead and walked up the steps, apparently didn't hear it. After hearing Ziyan's words, Su Luo raised an evil smile on the corner of her mouth. Hey, why haven't you come up yet? Don't you want to go to Purgatory City? The girl coldly warned. We've come all the way here. We can't give up halfway. Okay, let's just go. Who's afraid of whom? Su Luo seemed to throw caution to the wind, went up the steps and lead her team towards Luo Qingyan. Hearing this, Luo Qingyan turned her head and the smile on the corner of her mouth became cold, and even more proud of herself. Come on, these stupid commoners, let them know what it meant to be sold, and still help them count the money. Thinking of this, the girl's proud smile was almost overflowing. She couldn't understand why ordinary people in the outside world were so stupid. Su Luo and the others, who was regarded as a fool, followed her lead to go forward. Originally, Su Luo thought that the steps were supposed to be like the one she'd gone through before. The higher they went, the more resistance it would have. But to Su Luo's surprise, the stone steps seemed to be ordinary ones. Although they were shrouded in dense fog as if it was high in the clouds, however they had no resistance. Chapter 1881. Angel Castle 3. The steps were very long. It took half an hour to walk. Stepping on the last step, it was greeted by 2 powerful, bright red words: Angel Castle. The Angel Castle was made of huge white crystal stones, with the spire towering into the sky. Around the castle, there was white angel statues neatly arranged. At the front was the angel with 2 wings, then the angel with 4 wings, the angel with 6 wings, the angel with 8 wings, and finally the angel with 10 wings. Remember what these statues look like. After you enter the Angel Castle, your goal is to kill these angels. The girl Luo Qingyan smiled unfathomably and pointed to the angels to show everyone. Why kill these angels? Su Luo pretended to be ignorant. Because if you want to enter Purgatory City, you must kill these angels. The girl Luo Qingyan didn't make it clear, however. When she saw that everyone's eyes was still at a loss like before, She stamped her feet with resentment and said unhappily, "Why do you have so many questions? If I ask you to kill it, just kill it. What a waste." This haughty and arrogant look amused Ziyan. What's the benefit of killing these angels? She raised her lips with a smile. In fact, as the holy maiden of Purgatory City, she knew better than anyone, but she just wanted to test the lower limit of the girl. Obviously, there was no limit for the girl's lies. "I've told you that only by killing angels can you enter Purgatory City. You commoners, why talk so much rubbish? Humph, since you have already went up, you can't go down. You have to go in even if you don't want to go in." With that, she snorted coldly and walked first. Ziyan said that points are good thing in Purgatory City. Before entering Purgatory City, not only you could learn through experience, but you could also collect points with your strength. Why not? This was the main reason that Su Luo dealt with this arrogant and unbridled girl with a smile all the time. Su Luo smirked at the corner of her mouth. "Well then, let's go in." The angel castle looked very grand outside, but the passageway was very narrow. The path was only wide enough for one person to pass through. And it was so dark that you can't see your hand in front of you. Holding a token in her hand, Luo Qingyun lightly touched the black handprint on the angel castle's outer wall. And then the red door opened automatically. Su Luo noticed that Luo Qingyun's token was bronze, probably the legendary bronze token. Su Luo touched her chin and secretly smiled. It said that in Purgatory City, the bronze token is the lowest token. Luo Qingyun, who had a strong sense of superiority, didn't realize at all that she was being disdained. She only raised her head, her chest held high, and she walked in the front. Su Luo walked after her, while Beichen unconsciously stayed in the last position. In the dark passage, no one spoke, the surroundings were quiet, filled with a tense and depressing atmosphere. But soon, this dark and narrow passage was over. After exiting the passage, the view widened. This was an open space. The surrounding area was wide, about the size of a football field, but there was nothing in it, completely empty. However, when Su Luo and the others showed up, suddenly, everyone only saw dark shadows flashed from all direction. Chapter 1882, Angel Castle. For very quickly, these dark shadows stopped in place, gathered together, and then surrounded Su Luo and the others. The appearance of these magical beasts were very strange. There were three-legged bulls, black-furred giant apes, and giant pythons with many legs. Su Luo's eyes widened, and a little surprised. Ziyan whispered to Su Luo on the side. "These magical beasts are from different world. They're not from our continent, so you should have never seen them before." "From a different world?" Su Luo was shocked. What kind of world is that? She seemed to have never heard of it. But this was obviously not the time to ask. In front of these fierce and aggressive magical beasts, she should deal with them first. Su Luo made a gesture, so her friends immediately formed a circle. However, Luo Qingyun consciously went into the center of the protection circle and asked with a cold face, "Kill all these magical beasts as soon as possible. At that time, this young lady will have a lot of rewards." Su Luo, including her friends, all looked back at Luo Qingyun as if she was an idiot, and then silently turned back. She had seen brainless people, but she hadn't seen one as brainless as her. The surrounding magical beasts attacked. There were the strong ones and the weak ones, but because of the large number, there was no good way to kill all of them at once. Luo Qingyun's eyes wandered around like she was looking at her prey. Soon her sharp and excited voice sounded. "Quick, four-winged angel, kill it." The girl's voice was anxious and excited, screaming again and again. Su Luo didn't really listen to her, but she had another calculation in her mind, so she soared into the air and quickly attacked the four-winged angel. The appearance of the four-winged angel was similar to human, slender, elegant and beautiful, with long hair as black as ink reaching to the ankle. The whole body exuded a pure and holy scent. This kind of scent made people so intoxicated by it, and couldn't bear to hurt them even in the slightest bit, as if taking a second glance was blasphemy. However, the Cheng-Ying sword in Su Luo's hand flew to the air without hesitation, and shot towards the four-winged angel who was as holy as a fairy. Cheng-Ying's sword had spiritual knowledge. It didn't require Su Luo's control. When it locks the target, it would attack continuously. Four-winged angel looked delicate and weak, as if it would collapse in the gust of wind. But after a real fight, it turned out that it was not the case at all. The strength of these four-winged angels were at least 10th ranked. The Chungying sword attacked her 12 times in a row, but the four-winged angel always dodged at the last step. Dodged it again and again. And she saw that the situation was not good, so she fought and retreated. When she retreated to the edge of the passageway and almost jumped into the passageway, she found there's already a beautiful young girl in a goose yellow dress. The girl was leaning against the corner with a smile, half squinting at her. You want to leave? It's not so easy, get past me first. The corner of Su Luo's mouth evoked a smile. The smile had the excitement of a hunt. What was this four-winged angel represent? Although the stupid Luo Qingyan didn't say it, it didn't mean that Su Luo didn't know. It's nothing more than 10th rank. Su Luo did not release her space gravity at this time, because she didn't plan to take out her cards until she had no other choice. Su Luo calmly stretched out her right hand, and the Chungying sword appeared in her hand. You accept death. Su Luo held Chungying's sword with both hands, and the air behind her was windless. Chapter 1883. Angel Castle 5. A horror flashed in the eyes of the four-winged angel. She wanted to run away in a panic. But the Chungying sword in Su Luo's hands had been raised high. Then the sharp sword flashed by. Slash! A clear sound was heard. The graceful body of the four-winged angel fell to the ground, and her body was cut off in half by Su Luo. The strength of magical beasts here was around 8th rank and 9th rank, so they had already killed in the battle with Ziyan. The battle had come to an end after Su Luo dealt with the most powerful four-winged angel. At this time, Luo Qingyun, who had never joined the battle, quickly jumped out, took out the treasured token in her chest, and scanned the magical beasts one by one. By the end of the battle, almost all of the magical beasts lying on the ground had been scanned. Bei Chening and the others looked very curious. They couldn't understand why the girl scanned the head of these magical beasts with the token, and her speed also very fast. Basically, when she swept the token, a white light flashed, and then she went to another target, and she said while scanning, no matter how small the mosquito is, it's still a meat, can't be wasted at all. At this time, only Su Luo and Ziyan still looked the same as before. After Luo Qingyan scanned halfway, her attention was diverted because of Su Luo. Because at this time, Su Luo was splitting the four-winged angel into two halves with a sword. Luo Qingyan rushed over. Her target was not Su Luo, but the four-winged angel split in half on the ground. She was so excited that she almost drooled. She quickly rushed towards the head of the four-winged angel for fear of being robbed. However, before she swept the token to the four-winged angel's head, the token in her hand had already changed hands. Luo Qingyan looked at her empty hands. At the next moment, she was furious and looked up at Su Luo and said, "What are you doing? Return the token to me quickly." "Is this your token?" Su Luo was calm and composed, looking at the token in his hands with a smile. It was a bronze medal, the size of a palm. The entire thing was bronze. It looked nothing special. Su Luo hit it with her hands, and there was a sharp and clear sound came to her ears. "Are you looking for death? Quickly return the token to me. If there's the slightest damage, 100 of you will not be able to compensate for the loss." Luo Qingyan was obviously furious, made threatening gesture, and wanted to attack her. However, before she came near Su Luo, Ziyan quietly reached out her foot. Only a dull sound was heard. The girl Luo Qingyun, who was completely unprepared, stumbled and fell flat on her face to the ground. Blood almost rushed out from her nose. "You bastards! You actually dare to offend me. Do you all want to die?" Luo Qingyun quickly got up, pointed to Su Luo and scolded her. But she dared to stretch out her fingers, and the Chungying sword in Su Luo's hands moved to chop her fingers from top to bottom. Fortunately, Luo Qingyan quickly reacted by withdrawing her hand, otherwise that white jade-like hand would be cut off. Luo Qingyan was startled, and then there was a trace of horror in her eyes. You dare?" Luo Qingyan anger erupted like a fire, but when she thought of Su Luo that just cut off a four-winged angel in half, she forced back her anger, but her face still looked furious. Chapter 1884. Angel Castle 6. You even dare to get something by doing nothing. What are we afraid of? Su Luo smilingly fiddled with Luo Qingyun's token and asked with a spurious smile. What's the matter with your token? What were you doing just now? Luo Qingyun snorted coldly and didn't answer. You don't want to say it? Would you like me to speak for you? Ziyan patted Luo Qingyun's shoulder with a smile, pointing to the ground where the magical beast's bodies had disappeared after being scanned, and smiled coldly. 10 of these magical beasts' bodies could be exchanged for 1 point. Did I make any mistake? You. Luo Qingyun's complexion slightly changed, her finger was pointing at them. Aren't you from outside? How do you know the rules of points redemption in Purgatory City? Ziyan smiled but didn't speak. How could she not know the rules of point redemption in Purgatory City? Wasn't that a joke? Oh, I see. You must be listening to the people outside, right? Luo Qingyun still felt a sense of superiority. She said coldly to Su Luo. Each token of Purgatory City is different. They were integrated with the Master's blood. It would still be useless even if you snatch my token. Quickly return it to me. What if we don't give it back? Su Luo said with a slight smile. Humph, then you could only wait to die. You commoners, you have never even seen a token. You're really pitiful. Even if you can successfully enter the gate Purgatory City, it will take at least 5 years to get a token like this. But it's useless for you to take my token. This token had been integrated with my blood. You won't be able to use it even if I die. Su Luo had a careless smile on her face, and her eyes were also full of smile. Why do you like the four-winged angel so much? What's so special about this four-winged angels? Su Luo said, kicking the four-winged angel who had already become a corpse on the ground. At this time, the angel had a faint light, and this light dimmed down with the speed visible to the naked eye. When Luo Qingyun saw it, she immediately became anxious and stamped her foot. Hurry up! Why haven't you scanned the token towards her head yet? You're stupid. Soon the four-winged angel will disappear, and the points will be gone too. It's 4 points for points. Luo Qingyun was anxious and on the verge of tears. Because angels were rare, only 1 or 2 could occasionally be encountered, and angels had the highest point among all magical beasts. With other magical beasts, it would take great pains to kill 40 of them but only get 4 points, but one four-winged angel could directly get 4 points. Therefore Luo Qingyun was that anxious. Su Luo raised her eyes to hint at Ziyan. Ziyan nodded, took a token out from her sleeve, and unhurriedly swept the token on the angel's forehead. It was a silver token. 8 points. Ziyan smiled and handed it over for Su Luo to look. Indeed, a bright red number was accurately displayed on it. 8. After a few seconds, the number disappeared, and the token returned to its original color. Silver token? Why do you have a silver token? Luo Qingyun was stunned, and foolishly stared at the token in Ziyan's hand. Only a few disciples in the inner court would have a silver token in their hands. Why did she have it? Why on earth? Su Luo and Ziyan smiled at each other, but ignored Luo Qingyun and left her aside. But the girl obviously don't want to be ignored. She stared at Ziyan and said coldly, "This token, who did you steal it from?" Chapter 1885. Angel Castle 7. How does it concerns you? Ziyan gave her a stern glance. You. Luo Qingyun took a deep breath, pointed at Ziyan, and her eyes were vicious. You murdered and robbed someone? Ziyan laughed but doesn't speak. She didn't pay attention to the girl. She hadn't revealed her identity. She just talked to Su Luo. Bei Qining asked, "Didn't you just say that a four-winged angel could only gain 4 points? Why do you have 8 points?" Because this is a silver token. Ziyan's eyes cast a glance at Luo Qingyun, a little proud of herself. Bronze have the original points, but with silver token, the points would be doubled. No wonder it became 8 points. In this way, wouldn't there be more points on gold token? Of course, with gold tokens, it can be tripled. While using the diamond token, it was said that the points could be multiplied by 5. Ziyan said with a smile. A diamond token, have you ever seen a diamond token? Even the 3 elders don't have it, only the city master have it. Luo Qingyun smiled coldly, Her eyes were staring at Ziyin coldly. With this token, do you dare to enter Purgatory City? Why not? Ziyin shrugged. Well, since you dare to enter, I will certainly dare to bring you in. Luo Qingyan had made up her mind to report this matter after going back. Perhaps the elite disciples of Purgatory City were killed while they were walking outside, and then murdered and robbed of their treasures. In fact, just now she only frightened Su Luo. After killing them, naturally, the blood contract would be lifted, and the owner of the token could also be changed. In Purgatory City, many disciples kill each other in order to take the points in each other's hands. And the senior apprentice brothers and sisters who were hunting in the Blood Mist Forest together with her, although they were indeed attacked by magical beasts, but she did lead the magical beast there. When senior apprentice brothers and sisters were all defeated, she would appear, kill the people, take away their tokens and collected the points. So now she had a lot of points in her token. In Purgatory City, all assassination schemes were allowed, because those who survived in various assassination schemes were the true elites. She was afraid that Ziyin would do the same, kill her, and then snatch her token, so she stared at Ziyin cautiously, ready to fight back. But what she didn't expect was that Ziyin seemed to forget her, and just wanted to chat with her friends. Ziyin asked Su Luo, "Should we go out directly or play in it and collect some points?" Ziyin naturally meant to collect a lot of points. After entering Purgatory City, points were used everywhere, but there are not many opportunities to earn points, so we should try to stay here for a few more days. After all, it's very good to earn points here. Ziyin said, "This is still the peripheral area. The further you go in, the higher the chances of encountering the angels. Not to mention the 4-winged angels, even 6-winged and 8-winged, as long as we fight." The more Ziyin said excitedly, the more Su Luo and the others' eyes lit up. Indeed, this was a very good place to train, and also a shortcut to earn points. After the test on Ziyin's silver token just now, Su Luo was very happy, because not only did she have a gold token in her hand, but the city master even gave her a diamond token with a very high authority. Ziyin said just now that the points could be multiplied by 5. That's to say, if she used her diamond token on the 4-winged angel, she would earn 20 points. If you want to kill magical beast, you would have to kill 200s. The more she thought about it, the more excited she got. Chapter 1886. Angel Castlate. After deciding this matter, Su Luo turned her eyes to Luo Qingyan. "Are you leaving or staying?" Su Luo had no habit of killing people arbitrarily. Moreover, in her opinion, although the girl is cold and arrogant and selfish, she wasn't rotten to the core, so Su Luo was willing to give her a chance to live. "You are going to let me go?" After seeing Ziyin's silver token, she already wanted to retreat in her heart. In fact, Luo Qingyan knew in her heart that the token was very unlikely obtained by murdering someone and snatching their treasures. Because if it was true, she would have never dared to come back to Purgatory City. Then the only possible explanation was that she was a disciple in Inner City. At the thought of this, Luo Qingyan's face turned pale. She thought of the strength displayed by the team on the way, and her attitude to them. She was frightened and scared in her heart. Unexpectedly, she heard Su Luo said that she would let her go, and her heart was shocked. "You really won't kill me?" Luo Qingyan shuddered. "Why kill you?" Su Luo lightly glanced at her. "But as a normal situation, we should not kill people to earn points." Seeing that Su Luo didn't understand, Luo Qingyan was very happy. She snatched the bronze token in Su Luo's hand, and quickly ran forward like a bird startled by the mere twang of a bow. How could she be so afraid? Could I still snatch her points? Su Luo touched her chin with a wry smile and asked Ziyin, "Do I really look so fierce?" Ziyin chuckled. "In fact, it's very common to kill people to earn points in Purgatory City. You will gradually understand in the future." Purgatory City, it's called Purgatory. How could it be peaceful? How many points could she get with her strength? Beichening didn't care. "No, in fact, there are many points in her token, at least not worse than mine." Ziyin smiled bitterly. When she left Purgatory City, her strength was still weak, so she did not accumulate many points. Don't think that the disciples of the city master had preferential treatment. In fact, They didn't have privileges in terms of treatment, and they were even stricter than ordinary disciples. Originally her token was also bronze. It was her third senior brother who gave her this silver token. Su Luo let that Luo Qingyan go, actually in order to protect her own hidden card. Because there's space gravity in her hand, it's very useful in group attacks, but she didn't want to reveal her hidden card so soon, so the only way was to let the girl go. After resting for a while, they discussed the battle strategy. Because the strength of An Yiming and Lan Xian was worse compared with the others, this battle was mainly to hone the two of them, and collecting points while at it. In other words, try to give them the opportunity to fight. Only when encountering powerful bosses, such as the four-winged angel and the six-winged angel, Su Luo would help. After the rest, under Ziyan's guidance, everyone began to move forward. The angel castle looked very large from the outside. After walking inside, it became more and more spacious. Without the annoying girl Luo Qingyan, everyone was much more comfortable, so they were less cautious when they talk. As Ziyan walked, she informed to the group about this angel castle. Although from the outside, this angel castle is big, however it was even bigger on the inside, as if there's a completely different world in it, because the space inside had been expanded by Master. No one knows how big it is. Chapter 1887. Angel Castle 9. How can we get out then? Su Luo asked as she looked around. It's not difficult to get out, every hall has a swipe token device. Ziyan pointed to the black handprint on the wall and explained. As long as you swipe the token on this swipe token device, you could go out automatically. But if you want to come in after you go out, it will take another month. So many times, we will not swipe it easily, unless if we encounter the moment of life and death. It's really advanced. It's better than science and technology civilization. Su Luo looked at the black handprint and shook her head in amazement. This handprint should be left by the city master, right? Yes, it is said that the whole Purgatory City was built by Master's father. Ziyan's eyes shone with pride. By the way, what happened to those magical beasts? How can it seem that I've never seen it before? An Yiming asked curiously. He was considered erudite and well-informed, but he couldn't name any of those magical beasts, which made him had a slight sense of frustration. Ziyan smiled when she heard the words. Those magical beasts? Of course you haven't seen it, because they all were not from our plane. What? Su Luo felt very curious. Not from our plane. What does this mean? Does it mean that there are other planes on this continent? Ziyan nodded and her face looked serious. I've heard that Master accidentally mentioned this. Master said that there are countless planes in the entire universe, and there are many material planes like ours. And these magical beasts came from those material planes that are not much different from ours. This was the first time Su Luo heard this kind of information. She suddenly felt a little lost. She always thought that the continent was very big. When she reached the peak of the entire continent, she would be able to make clouds with one turn of the hand, and rain with another, and she could do everything. But now listening to Ziyan's words, there are countless planes similar to this continent in the universe? They can come, so can we go too? There was a faint excitement in Su Luo's heart. Ziyan shook her head when she heard the words. The reason why Master is not in Purgatory City is because he is wandering in countless planes. He seems to be looking for someone. After that, Ziyan's eyes fell on Su Luo, and she lowered her voice and said, I didn't understand before, but that time in the Imperial Palace of the Eastern Ling, Master's attitude towards you, I want to ask, do you look similar to your mother? No one in this world is a fool. Although at that time, no one had said it clearly, but everyone could guess more or less. Su Luo smiled indifferently. That's a matter between the elders. Let them solve it by themselves. As a younger generation, we shouldn't talk about it. Ziyan also smiled. What Luo Luo said is very true. By the way, I just mentioned that those magical beasts were brought back by Master when he traveled from all planes, and I don't know how Master did it. Anyway, the crystal core in the magical beast's head is connected with the token. As long as you kill the magical beast, once the token is scanned, the points will automatically appear on the token. It's amazing, right? Extremely amazing. Su Luo was full of praise. It's like playing QR code with modern times. She didn't know how he did it. Only in this angel castle could the opportunity to exchange magical beasts with points? Wouldn't that be crowded? Lan Xian looked around curiously, but only found that the surrounding was really quiet, as if there's only their team in the entire angel castle. Chapter 1888. Angel Castle 10. You are wrong. In fact, compared to the cultivation site of Purgatory City, Angel Castle is not very important, because most of the magical beasts here are below the 10th rank, so there are not so many people who choose to practice here. After entering the city, you will find that everywhere in the suburbs, each one is an exceptionally good place to cultivate and improve yourself. Ziyan smiled. As for the Angel Castle, this is generally a trial tower for people who are new to Purgatory City. Purgatory City was not so easy to enter. If you want to enter Purgatory City, you must pass the test in the Angel Castle. The test in the Angel Castle was not only in cultivation, but also in mental and perseverance. By the way, Su Luo's eyes were a little puzzled. If all of this were set by the city master, then why do the angels have the highest points? Wasn't that tempting everyone to kill angels? Shouldn't angels represent purity, goodness and light? What was the city master thinking? Su Luo was full of doubts. But it's obvious that no one answered her question. I'm afraid you're the only one who can ask for the answer. Ziyan spread her hands and said helplessly, Master is so kind to you. When you have a chance, you can ask him, and help us clear up our confusion. Su Luo stuck out her tongue. She could only temporarily press down her confusion. While they were speaking, there was a spacious hall ahead of them. Su Luo's eyes were slightly raised. My little comrades, be ready for battle. Just when everyone arrived, numerous and densely packed of magical beasts appeared around them. The amount of magical beasts that emerged was entirely dependent on luck. Sometimes there were only 2 or 3 little kitty, but sometimes there were even hundreds of magical beasts. Now there were hundreds of them. So follow the previous tactics. The battle was fought by Lan Xian and Anya Ming, protected by Ziyan and Bai Chening, while Su Luo consolidated the whole situation. Hundreds of magical beasts, Su Luo used the space gravity technique, encircled 80 into her gravity space. After she encircled them, Su Luo didn't deal with them, she only let them frantically running around inside. But she didn't let them out. The remaining 20 were handed over to those men. Lan Xian and Anya Ming also know that this year, they did not make much progress in strength and dragged everyone back, so they fought bravely in this bloody battle. After 20 magical beasts were killed, both of them were wounded. After all, each of these magical beasts were at least 8th ranked, which was slightly worse than the strength of the 2 of them. So when a group of magical beasts attacked, it was still very difficult. Su Luo threw the skin ointment to the 2 of them and asked in a low voice, Can you continue? If they don't have the willpower, then this trip to Purgatory City would be in vain. After the skin ointment was applied to the body, the original bleeding wound was healed at the speed visible to the naked eye, which was very amazing. In this bottle of skin ointment, Su Luo dripped 3 drops of her blood, so the effect of treating wounds was very good. It was only a warm-up just now. The blood on Lan Xian's body stopped. He tried hard to wipe the sweat on his forehead, and then he raised the corner of his mouth to Su Luo. Very good. Su Luo smiled contentedly, then releases 30 magical beasts. Bai Chening and Ziyan first restrained a part of the magical beasts. Lan Xian and Anya Ming spare no effort to rush into the heap of magical beasts. For a while, there was a flash of swords. Blood surged. Chapter 1889. Angel Castle 11 magical beasts roared angrily, intertwined together. In less than an hour, all the 30 magical beasts released by Su Luo had fallen down, and Lan Xian and Anya Ming were too tired and collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. Physically exhausted, but mentally satisfied. The 2 of them looked at each other and smiled. Come again. 2 people smeared the skin ointment, and their wounded body soon recovered 60% to 70%. Su Luo looked at them with a touch of appreciation. Lan Xian suffered more than 30 injuries for the first time, and more than 40 injuries for the second time. He lost a lot of blood, but he was still full of spirit and energy. His fighting strength was astonishing, and Anya Ming was more or less the same. But if you are as ruthless to yourself as you are to others, why can't you be able to improve your strength? Okay, I'll release 50 this time, be ready. With a wave of Su Luo's hand, the remaining 50 magical beasts were all out from the space gravity's control. In the beginning, they were all at a loss, they were confused by the space gravity's control. But soon they came back to their senses, and then they were furious. Magical beasts also had dignity. However, out of the space gravity, they didn't dare to confront Su Luo at all. So all the anger went in another direction. There were Ziyan and Bei Chening, as well as the injured and tired Lan Xian and Anya Ming. The magical beasts who bully the weak and fear the strong was roaring, snarling, and aggressively rushed towards Lan Xian and Anya Ming. It was not only because the strength of the two of them were weak, but the bigger reason was that they have a smell of blood on them. A strong smell of blood and strong spirit power were the most exquisite and delicious food. Facing the fierce magical beast, Lan Xian and Anya Ming stared with unswerving determination, bravely rushed up. This battle could be described as tragic. By the end of the battle, there was almost no undamaged skin on Lan Xian and Anya Ming, and the whole body was dripping with blood, which was horrible to see. Su Luo tried to help several times, but desperately tried to hold back. She would not allow herself to take action when their life was not in danger. On the road of becoming stronger, everyone had to go through a lot of hardships. At the beginning, in order to strengthen her body, so many days, she experienced pain worse than death every moment. Bei Chening and Ziyan had lost their spirit power for 9 months. Their bodies were dried up like old people. If she was a step late, they would be dead. Now, compared to them, Lan Xian and Anya Ming were still very fortunate. Su Luo comforted herself in this way. When she desperately comforted herself, the battle was over. Ziyan silently collected the points, while Su Luo quickly went to help them apply the medicine. Seeing Su Luo's worried and distressed expression, Lan Xian's blood-stained face could still smile. "Sister-in-law, we can handle it." His dash because of the wound was pulled apart, his painful face were almost twisted. Uft. Su Luo laughed subconsciously, and the mist in her eyes went away. "You are all right, and congratulations after this battle. You finally reached the peak of the 8th rank." This result naturally made everyone happy. However, it was not enough. Right now Su Luo, Ziyan and Bei Chening had already broken through the 10th rank, and could promote to the commander rank at any time. The peak of 8th rank was not enough. Lan Xian and Anya Ming looked at each other, and then found a strong determination in each other's eyes. Be stronger, and must be stronger. Chapter 1890. Angel Castle 12. Because of this battle, Lan Xian and Anya Ming was greatly hurt. Therefore Su Luo decided to stay and rest for a night, and then go to another hall tomorrow. But this time their luck was not very good. Let alone 6-winged angel or 4-winged angel. They did not even see 2-winged angel, Su Luo sighed. But fortunately, she had a diamond token. 100 ordinary magical beasts could only be exchanged for 10 points. But because Su Luo's diamond token could multiply the points by 5, so this time they earned 50 points. Compared to other teams, it was a very good harvest. Because Su Luo had the Emperor-grade blood-clotting pills in her hand, Lan Xian and Anya Ming's bodies recovered very quickly. After a night's rest, the two men recovered and beaming with spirit. After that, they spent time in the Angel Castle before the team entered Purgatory City. After half a month of fighting, Lan Xian and Anya Ming already had more than enough dealing with magical beasts, and they had been successfully promoted to 9th rank. Now that we have 900 points, let's wait until we got 1,000 points to go out, Su Luo suggested. She couldn't wait to see what the Purgatory City built by City Master looked like. Naturally, her little friends agreed with Su Luo's proposal, so they all decided to stay for another 2 days and go out after collecting the last points. In fact, although there were more than 1,000 points, there were 5 people in their team. If they divide them equally, each of them would only have 200 points. And 200 points in Purgatory City already considered to have enough to dress warmly and eat their fill. However, this day everyone seemed to have a good luck. Two-winged angels? Ziyin exclaimed. Unexpectedly, this time, there was only one two-winged angel, and there was no other magical beasts. How can it be so bad? Lan Xian sighed helplessly. This one is not enough for me to play with. Then I'll leave it to you, come on young man. Su Luo patted him on the shoulder. If I go then I'll go, isn't it just a two-winged angel? It's too simple. Lan Xian didn't even take this two-winged angel as a thing. But when he really started, he found that the two-winged angel was difficult enough. Even though he used all his strength and used a method that would cause both sides to suffer, he finally beat the other side. Just when Lan Xian was sweating all over, lying on the ground in pain and unable to get up, the two-winged turned into four-winged angel. Oh shit! Lan Xian suddenly dumbfounded. Who could tell him what's going on? How could a two-winged angel who had been killed become a four-winged angel? At this time, the four-winged angel's eyes were red, and rushed towards the Lan Xian in a great rage, while Lan Xian, how could he beat a 10th-ranked four-winged angel? So he was frantically ran towards Su Luo. Facing this unexpected situation, Su Luo was also a little surprised. What's going on? The two-winged angels became four-winged angels? How could it be so mysterious? But Ziyin almost jumped up excitedly. This is a good thing. We've met the variant angel. Variant angel? Everyone was puzzled. At this time, Lan Xian had already been blocked by the four-winged angel, beaten into such a sorry state. Anya Ming, based on brotherly feeling, rushed to help. While Anya Ming and Lan Xian were fighting with the four-winged angel, Ziyin was explaining about the variant angel. Chapter 1891. Critical Moment 1. The variant angel is actually very simple. That is, when the two-winged angels were killed, then they would change into four-winged angels. And when the four-winged angels were killed, it would change into six-winged angels, and so on. In the end, it would become a great boss, which is the legendary 10-winged angel. Ziyan's eyes were bright with excitement. So in other words, the points will be piled up? Su Luo was exceptionally intelligent. A hint was all that's needed. That's right. The points will be piled up. Ziyan was in a good mood and began to calculate. Two-winged angel, four-winged angel, six-winged angel, eight-winged angel, and 10-winged angel, which add up to 30 points. With that diamond token, oh heavens! This is directly 150 points, ah. Ziyan jumped up excitedly. It seems that Lan Xian's luck is not bad. In the future, he must be given more actual battle opportunities. Su Luo looked at the young man who had been chased by every means to be killed, and a smile rose from the corner of her mouth. That 10th-ranked four-winged angel were really difficult to deal with. However, after the cooperation between Lan Xian and Anya Ming, unexpectedly they could suppress it. Finally Lan Xian killed the angel using the method of killing 1,000 enemy and lost 800. Both sides suffered losses. Unexpectedly the four-winged angel was killed. But before the two of them get away, the four-winged angel turned into a six-winged angel. They were dumbfounded. Just now they were only fighting and they didn't hear Ziyan's information. Whoa! How did it turn into six-winged angel? I can't take it, you guys quickly go. The two men frantically trying to escape, in a sorry figure. Ziyan and Beichening also looked serious. The strength of six-winged angel was equivalent to the strength of the peak of 10th rank. There was too much discrepancy between their strength. Lan Xian and Anya Ming would not be able to deal with it. I'll go. Beichening smiled slightly, and then he go to deal with it. The more the angels transformed, the more violent they became. At this moment, the six-winged angel had red eyes and made threatening gestures, which looked very fierce and difficult to deal with. But Beichening was not a person to be trifled with either. After cultivating during this period of time, he was only one line away from the commander rank. In terms of strength, he was slightly better than the six-winged angel. Only a thin line away, nevertheless, the gap was extremely small. The two of them had been fighting for quite a long time. I'll help. Ziyan couldn't stand it anymore, and rushed up quickly after speaking. Beichening and Ziyan worked together to subdue the six-winged angel. 2 points, 4 points, 6 points, a total of 12 points. And multiplied by 5, now the six-winged angel was worth 60 points. This a lot of points. Only a sharp noise was heard. Su Luo looked up. The six-winged angel who has already fallen to the ground had turned into eight-winged angel. The eight-winged angel was equivalent to the beginning of commander rank. Compared with the top 10, although there was only a slight difference, but naturally there was a difference in strength, the difference was really great. Furious eight-winged angel repeatedly used a killing move. Bei Qining and Ziyan were having difficulty dealing with it from the very beginning. After 10 moves, the victory gradually emerged. The two of them joined forces were still not the opponents of the six-winged angel. Su Luo's brow slightly frowned. Chapter 1892. Critical moment 2. The eight-winged angel was already at the beginning of commander rank. So, what about the most powerful 10-winged angel? How strong would that be? Will it reach the saint rank? If it really reached the saint rank, Su Luo stroked her forehead. If it was like this, all the previous efforts would not only be in vain, but her friends would also be in danger. Fight or go? Su Luo would let them decide. Fight. Her little friends gave a consistent answer. Su Luo nodded. The matter had come to this point. It is not that they could give up because they say give up. So many points, wasn't that a pity? Now that they had made up their mind, Su Luo was ready to fight against the 10-winged angel. Then, in order to maintain sufficient physical strength, the 8-winged angel could only be handled by Bei Qining and Ziyan. But fortunately, their strength was very good now. After a difficult battle, the 8-winged angels who had just entered commander rank were actually killed by the two of them. Now this angel was very valuable. At least 100 points had been obtained. As long as they kill the 10-winged angel, then they would have 150 points. Su Luo was ready at all times. The moment when the 8-winged angel fell, Bei Qining and Ziyan quickly retreated, while Su Luo's figure was like a giant bird spreading its wings, leaping high in the air, and Chungying's sword was held high in her hands. Kill! The sword was gorgeous, extremely dazzling, and surging with the aura of death. The 8-winged angel had just turned into the 10-winged angel. Before she returns to her mind, the fatal blow of Chungying's sword was already swung toward her. She couldn't avoid it. There was only a clanging sound. The two white holy wings of the 10-winged angel were directly cut off by Su Luo. Blood gushed out and dyed her entire body red. But it's clear that she was just injured, not killed. Su Luo frowned tightly. Just now, her target was the head of the 10-winged angel. Unexpectedly, she dodged it by a hair breadth. It's worthy of being a 10-winged angel in the middle of commander rank. Yes, this 10-winged angel was only in the middle of commander rank, not the saint rank, so Su Luo breathed a sigh of relief. Since it was the middle of commander rank, Su Luo was 50% sure of winning. The peak of 10th rank against the middle of commander rank. If it changed to someone else, they would definitely lose 10 times. But if it changed to Su Luo, she would have 50% chance, which was very rare. At this time, the 10-winged angel slowly tilted her head and silently looked at her two wings that were directly cut off, then turned her head and looked gently at Su Luo's face. Her eyes were light and very gentle, but there's a hatred buried in deep into her bones. Hate to the extreme. It was hard to tell from the surface. You die. Two soft words came out of her mouth. That pair of cold eyes were bloodshot in an instant. Then, a burst of blood-red light burst in her eyes. The wind blew. The air was piercingly cold and violent. The holy feathers of the 10-winged angel were dyed red with blood. She looked surly and ruthless. Then, her figure was like a flash of lightning, and launched a fierce attack on Su Luo. The 10-winged angel in the middle of commander rank was furious. In such a short time, the angel entered the peak of commander rank because of her fury. There was a chill in Su Luo's eyes. This time, the chance of her success would be reduced again. Chapter 1893. Intercepted 1. As for her, there was already 3 rank difference from the peak of commander rank, so luck could no longer make up for it. But fight! Su Luo smiled coldly. Chungying's sword had disappeared. She spread her palm, and a different fire came to her palm. The first fire in the heaven and earth, the Yin Luo Red Lotus. Now let's try your power. The Yin Luo Red Lotus burst out a bright fiery red light. Instantly, The surroundings seemed to become a fiery paradise. The fire was burning, and the flame was red. The most powerful attack of Yin Luo Red Lotus lie in its firepower and destructive power. Saint-ranked angel was always water attributed. Common fire attribute was completely useless to her. It could be said that she could suppress it, but Yin Luo Red Lotus was the opposite. Now Yin Luo Red Lotus was the one who strongly suppressed her. The 10-winged angel saw the Yin Luo Red Lotus. Although she couldn't recognize it, she was instinctively afraid. Her face greatly changed and subconsciously dodged. For the first time, she could dodge it. But the second time was not so easy. Su Luo jumped up and merged the Yin Luo Red Lotus with the Chungying sword. Suddenly, the sword turned red, which was beautiful and dazzled the eyes. Ferocious. Unstoppable. The Yin Luo Red Lotus and the Chungying sword merged, and its strength was doubled. Feeling a powerful threat, the 10-winged angel's face became extremely ugly, but this time she couldn't dodge it. Chungying sword slashed her 2 wings again. Blood was gushing out again. The angel who originally had 10 wings, 4 of her wings had already been cut off. Su Luo. This was the greatest disgrace to the 10-winged angel. Except death. The corner of Su Luo's mouth formed a light smile. Now in her eyes, the 10-winged angel was 150 points. Her eyes were shining brightly. As Su Luo's voice dropped, the Chungying returned to her hand and shot into the 10-winged angel again. It seemed that Su Luo was ready to cut off the wings of the 10-winged angel one by one. Seeing that 150 points were about to be obtained soon, everyone's mood became very good, with smiles on their faces, and looked at the blood-drenched 10-winged angel with their glistening eyes. Damn it! You will die miserably. The sharp and shrill voice of the 10-winged angel sounded in the room, just like the fierce ghost from hell. It was a very creepy feeling. That shrill voice shocked Su Luo and the others. They suffered from dizziness and pain in their eardrum. Just then, Chungying's sword was originally stabbed toward the heart of the 10-winged angel. But because of the shrill voice, Chungying's sword deviated a little bit. Chungying's sword stabbed the 10-winged angel in the ribs, just like an arrow inserted into the target, and the tail shook slightly. But unfortunately, it did not strike the center of her heart. Just you wait. It was still with a very shrill voice, and it made their eardrum buzzed. Su Luo only felt a bit of sweetness rushing up from her chest, and almost rushed out of her throat. At the side, the situation of Bei Chening and the others was even more serious than Su Luo. This was not the worst. The worst thing was the 10-winged Alangel actually carried Su Luo's Chungying sword and ran away. Su Luo looked at the 150 points creature running away. She also carried her Chungying sword. She was suddenly anxious and yelled, "Chase!" Then her body rushed forward. Ziyan and the others reacted quickly and chased after Su Luo. Chapter 1894. Intercepted 10-winged angel was already like an arrow at the end of its flight, and it would be very easy to kill. If she was allowed to run away like that, it would be a pity. The group of people chased after her, and Su Luo's speed soared even faster, closely following the 10-winged angel. The 10-winged angel still retained the last bit of her strength. Although the shoulder injury was fatal, her speed was still very fast, almost have the same speed as Su Luo. There was a cold light flashed in Su Luo's eyes, and the smile on the corner of her mouth became colder. Want to escape? See where you can escape. There were scattered drops of blood on the ground, which gave Su Luo a good indication of where the 10-winged angel go. Su Luo believed that the 10-winged angel couldn't run far with the strength she had left. If you want to run, you must to have strength. Now her strength probably could only support her for 1 stick of an incense time. Su Luo muttered to herself, feeling a little relaxed. However, what Su Luo never thought was that things unexpectedly had twists and turns. In the front, the 10-winged angel did fall into a pool of blood, and her heart was slightly undulating, and it was clear that she had not died yet. But she was surrounded by a group of people. There were about 7 or 8 people in this group. They were not very old. They were about 17 or 18 years old. The oldest person seemed to be in his 20s. Su Luo took a quick look and discovered that these young men and women were beautiful and handsome. They also looked arrogant, their strength unexpectedly pretty good. At this time, The man in the front was taking out the Chungying sword in the hands of the 10-winged angel. After looking at the sword carefully for a while, he slightly evoked a proud smile at the corner of his mouth. It's a good sword, not bad. This young master has accepted it. Everyone else looked at him enviously, but no one raised any objection. Obviously, his position was very high in that group. I picked up a good sword and picked up a 10-winged angel. Ha ha ha. We really have a good luck today. Quan Ziqing's aquiline nose slightly moved, and his eyes were undoubtedly proud of himself. Senior brother, did you say it's a 10-winged angel? Impossible, right? There are only 6 wings. Stupid, haven't you seen the wound? These 4 wound was obviously where the other 4 wings were. Quan Ziqing touched his chin, and looked thoughtfully. I don't know who can do this, it's rare to have this ability. Senior brother, 10-winged angels, isn't it represent 10 points? Stupid. Quan Ziqing coldly smiled. You take a look at the feather on her forehead, look clearly. Heavens! This goose yellow feathers, could it be? This is a variant 10-winged angel? Holy shit. As soon as they heard that it was a variant 10-winged angel, the whole team was getting more excited. One should know that the points in the variant 10-winged angels were all accumulated. The total point could not be obtained until the last 10-winged angels were killed. That is to say, this 10-winged angel has 30 points. But senior brother holds a silver token, and using a silver token, the points would be doubled. That's it. This way, this 10-winged angel are worth 60 points. Holy shit. Suddenly, the whole team was talking about it. All of them were jubilant and rubbing their hands in excitement, almost unable to help themselves. Quan Ziqing did not lose his brain because of excitement. He touched his chin and said with a faint voice, it is not ordinary people who could cripple the 10-winged angel to this extent. As soon as these words came out, all the people were shocked, and then panicked again. Chapter 1895. Murder to prevent divulgence of one's secrets 1. Hurry up, senior brother, kill the 10-winged angel. Let's take the points and run quickly. Otherwise, when the owner arrives, we will suffer. Lung Siyue pulled the sleeve of Quan Ziqing, urging him to hurry. The other teammates were all urging him. You know, all their team fighting together wouldn't be able to beat an ordinary 10-winged angel. Let alone a violent variant 10-winged angel? Take advantage and run quickly. Quan Ziqing also nodded in silence. Then he held up the Chungying sword and stabbed the dying variant 10-winged angel with a sword. The 10-winged angel didn't even groan, but she just died like this. It was like the saying, if the tiger went down to level land, he would be insulted by dogs. Senior brother, hurry up, points. As they thought about the points, the whole team's eyes were red with excitement. Senior brother's silver token could double points, doubled. 60 points. How difficult was it to earn? With everyone urging him, Quan Ziqing was in a good mood. He slowly took out the silver token that he was immensely proud of from his sleeve, displayed it ostentatiously, and then smiled at the crystal core of the 10-winged angel. Then at this moment, a cold and taunting voice sounded behind them. Hold it! This voice, like a thunder on a sunny day, was so loud that it lingered in everyone's minds and scared them. Who? Quan Ziqing turned around subconsciously. Su Luo's mouth slowly evoked a careless smile, folded her arms, walked slowly, and finally stood in front of Quan Ziqing. At the moment of seeing Su Luo, the whole team was utterly quiet. It was so quiet all around, as if they could hear each other's thunderous heartbeat. Is there such a beautiful girl in the world? This time it was an eye-opener. The corner of Su Luo's mouth was still smiling as before, but her eyes were getting colder and colder. She slowly spreads out her right palm. Bring it. What? Faced with a breathtakingly beautiful face in the face of the breathtaking beauty of the face, Quan Ziqing stared blankly and subconsciously asked a sentence. Chungying sword. Although Su Luo was still laughing, her attitude was not very good, and she even made a lot of sarcasm. She worked hard for quite a while, but these people not only want to take the fruits of her labor for themselves, but also want to take away her Chungying sword. It was fine if they were strong enough, but in fact, all of them were not her opponents. Therefore, this matter was simply intolerable. Su Luo looked at this group of people with a sneer, and had a condescending attitude. Quan Ziqing furrowed his brows. As the leader of this team, Quan Ziqing felt that he was despised, but before he could respond, Lung Xiyu on the side had long been unable to hold back, and she walked forward with a sneer. She walked toward Quan Ziqing and confronted Su Luo. Lung Xiyu raised her chin and sneered coldly. Why should I give you the sword? We found that sword. Found. Su Luo raised her eyebrows lightly. You found my Qingying sword? Everyone's heart felt tight. I didn't expect that the peerless sword was really this girl's sword. Was it really going to be returned? Quan Ziqing was very reluctant. Lung Xiyu was even more reluctant. Besides, what about even yours? We don't steal or rob, but we picked it up. Why should we give it back to you? If you have the ability, you can take it yourself. You say it's yours, then it's yours? What evidence do you have? Her voice suddenly raised. Her expression looked imposing. Besides, even if it's yours, what about it? We don't steal or rob, but we found it. Why should I give it back to you? If you have the ability, you can take it yourself. Chapter 1896. Murder to prevent divulgence of one's secrets. Lung Xiyu would not believe it. They were a large group of people. Could it be that they would still be afraid of this young lady? In fact, Lung Xiyu refused to admit that the moment she saw the girl in front of her, her heart became mad with envy, because she had always boasted of being a peerless beauty. But compared with the girl in front of her, Lung Xiyu almost fainted with anger. Su Luo's smile was still the same, but her eyes was full of sarcasm. She did not speak, but spread out her right hand. The white, jade-like fingers were faintly fluorescent, and the beauty was beyond words. They were so fascinated that their saliva almost flowed out. Lung Xiyu became red with jealousy, and her eyes flashed with vicious coldness. If she could, she wished to use a sword to chop this gorgeous hand into pieces. Quan Ziqing's hand, which was holding the Qingying sword, was slightly shaking. Somehow, there was a bad feeling in his heart, as if the sword in his hand was about to fly away. The more nervous he was, the tighter his hand was. Wrapping the fingers around the handle, his hand was white and the blue tendons were protruding. It could be seen how hard he was trying. Just then suddenly a light flashed. The pure and holy Qingying sword suddenly appeared in Su Luo's hand. All the people who were still holding their breath, at this time, their eyes were all widened. This sword, unexpectedly, had its own consciousness. It's really a good sword. Quan Ziqing's face was white. Cold sweat rapidly flowed down from his cheeks. It's gone. It's completely gone. With his strength, he didn't even know how the sword disappeared. When he looked up again, he could see clearly that the sword obediently lay in Su Luo's palm. Su Luo held Qingying's sword with her hand, glanced around casually, and raised her lips into a smile, yet not a smile. Believe it now? There was no need to do anything, just take back the Qingying sword, it would return automatically. This was the best proof. At this time, the all Quan Ziqing's group of people had to admit the truth even if they were unwilling to do so. However, there were always some people who were insatiable, such as Lung Xiyu. Lung Xiyu was standing up with a smile and stared at Su Luo coldly. Who are you? Why snatch my senior brother's sword? Return the sword quickly. She's really falsely accusing her, Su Luo groaned in her heart, and the sneer still hung at the corner of her mouth. And when she stretched out her hand, Lung Xiyu was pushed aside by her. All of them watched Su Luo's action in a daze. They didn't know how to react for a moment. Should they follow Lung Xiyu, or let her move freely? When the group didn't help, Lung Xiyu was anxious. She stamped her feet and pointed at them and shouted, Hey, you are really stupid. Don't you want the points of the 10-winged angels? Each and every one of your eyes were really shallow. Look, you couldn't even move your feet when you see a beautiful woman. Lung Xiyu cursed in her heart. But Lung Xiyu's words did remind everyone. And she was right. Su Luo was standing in front of the 10-winged angel, and she obviously wanted to take the points now. Wait. Quan Ziqing held out his hand. What do you want to say? Su Luo looked at him with a smile. Her voice was indifferent, but she was thinking about whether it is better to take out the gold token or the diamond token. If she took out the diamond token and the news spreads, then she wouldn't be able to keep a low profile. Su Luo touched her chin. and for a moment she couldn't make up her mind. Girl, you can take away the sword, but the 10-winged angel must be ours. Quan Ziqing's face was tense, and his eyes were fixed on Su Luo. Chapter 1897. Murder to prevent divulgence of one's secrets. 3. If it was said that he did not feel regret for the sword, it was a lie. In fact, he regret until his heart was bleeding. Oh. Su Luo glanced at him with an interest and smiled calmly. Must be yours? Her voice was so gentle, her smile was thin, and there was a kind of intelligible expression that made people feel obviously being disdained. Yes, it was condescending and disdainful. Lung Xiyu's heart was surging with Angie. She walked quickly to Quan Ziqing, stretched out her palm, and whispered in his ear. Quan Ziqing's complexion changed slightly. He subconsciously looked at Su Luo. Senior brother, even if you don't want the sword, you should also think about your junior brothers and junior sisters. Do you really want to give away so many points? Senior brother, after making decisions, don't hesitate anymore. Lung Xiyu finally raised her voice. Her purpose was to let everyone hear her. Sure enough, when it comes to their own interests, the reaction of all the people was immediately became fierce. Senior brother, points cannot be given away. Points are clearly ours, why give them to others? Absolutely not. I think this girl is lying. At her age alone, can she really kill the variant 10-winged angel? This girl is obviously lying. She must have lied to us. We killed the 10-winged angel. Yes, we killed it. We killed the 10-winged angel. Thus, the group of people made a great deal of a noise, but all declared unanimously that this variant 10-winged angel was killed by them. Absolutely will not give the points. Su Luo crossed her arms around her, slowly glanced at the group of young men and women. The smile on her eyes grew stronger, and the cynicism and sarcasm in her eyes were getting more and more obvious. Intercepted her? How dare they intercepted her? Su Luo was very unhappy, but the more upset she was, the more radiant her smile was. Get out of the way. Su Luo's voice was faint, without a hint of emotion. No, all of them not only refused to let it go, but also spontaneously and automatically surrounded and protected the variant 10-winged angel. Seeing this, Su Luo could not help but smile. Do you really think you can stop me? Everyone said nothing, but all stared at Su Luo cautiously, on guard against her. I can kill the variant 10-winged angel, not to mention all of you. Those who are not afraid of death can continue to stand, and those who are terrified can stand aside from the team. Although Su Luo was smiling, the word she said was not easy at all. Everyone looked at each other. Su Luo's words reminded them. In fact, since Cheng Ying's sword flew back, they were 80% sure in their hearts. They believed that the girl was the one who was severely injured the 10-winged angel, but their greedy heart made them determined not to admit it, and they had to call the white was black and the black was white. But in the face of absolute strength, black and white are so easy to be reversed. It could take their lives in exchange. Therefore, the people on the team who were on the same side before were suddenly separated. Su Luo smiled coldly. You have 10 people in total. Even if you have more points from the variant 10-winged angel, how many points can you get in your hands? Why would you throw away your life just for these few points? It's better to kill dozens of other magical beasts. That's right, that made sense. Anyway, the major part would be taken away by Quan Ziqing and Lung Xiyu. So why should they make wedding clothes for others? So slowly, a few footsteps began to move aside. But before they moved, Lung Xiyu hit the ground with a whip and shouted, "Stop! No one is allowed to leave." Suddenly, there was silence all around. Chapter 1898. Entering the city one, she smiled strangely. You idiots! Since she can kill the 10-winged angel, do you think she will only have a few points on her? Do you think her waist token will be an ordinary bronze token? Or your eyes were so shallow, so much so that you could only stare at the variant 10-winged angel? These words really hit their hearts. But they couldn't help but to admit that this sentence was very provocative. As soon as this word came out, everyone's eyes suddenly brightened. All looking at Su Luo's eyes, all shining brightly. Lung Xiyu's words were reasonable. At the present, this girl, regardless her appearance or bearing, it was the best choice. Her waist token could be silver token. Since she had the strength to kill the variant 10-winged angel, then, her points would certainly not be less. As long as they killed her, snatched her waist card, took her points. Think of it this way, everyone could not help but salivating. So, after they were just stepping out for self-protection, they were tempted again by the evil greed in their hearts. Su Luo looked at Lung Xiyu with a smile, and praised her instead. Your brain is moving fast and your mouth is also sharp. Thank you for the compliment. Lung Xiyu was arrogant and proud of herself, and snorted coldly. You really want to die like this? Really won't think about it anymore? Su Luo slowly touched her chin, raised her eyebrows slightly, and looked at the group of people who court death with amusement. The road to death. Lung Xiyu and Quan Ziqing looked at each other, sneered, and then all of them rushed to Su Luo, except for Quan Ziqing, because at this time he was taking advantage of this time to take out the silver token in his hand, trying to obtain the points on the variant 10-winged angel. They calculated well. As long as they hold her off for a moment, they could let Quan Ziqing would obtain the points. Then at that time even if Su Luo angry, it would be useless. Su Luo naturally also saw through this trick. She was as fast as lightning. Under the heavy siege, she rushed out of the siege in a flash. Next second, her hand had caught Quan Ziqing's hair, lifted high up and turned around, and then directly threw him out. Quan Ziqing was dumbfounded. Lung Xiyu was dumbfounded. Everyone was dumbfounded. How could that be? Senior brother Quan, with the strength of the peak of 10th rank, how could he be picked up and thrown away? This was too shameful, okay? Everyone's face looked different. Some were white and some were red, but they were all afraid to look at Quan Ziqing, for fear that they would be remembered by him, because now he was really in a sorry figure. Quan Ziqing look is like a palette of colors, mixed with white and blue, unpredictable, glaring at Su Luo angrily, and then ordered, "Kill!" Everyone rushed towards Su Luo. At this time, Bei Chen-ing and the others had already arrived. Sister-in-law, let's practice with them. Bei Chen-ing said with a smile. Well, don't break them. Su Luo smiled faintly. Just entered the Purgatory City. It's better not to have a feud. The battle was fierce and could not be ended in a short time. Quan Ziqing also had no choice but to join the battle, fighting with Bei Chen-ing. While everyone's attention was focused on the battle, Su Luo took out her diamond token with a smile. She was in a good mood and rubbed the diamond token. This was really a good thing. It could multiply them by 5. Su Luo swept across the head of the 10-winged angel and scanned it, just like using the modern scanning QR code. Chapter 1899. Entering the city too soon, Su Luo's diamond token gained another 150 points. Looking at these 150 points, Su Luo immediately in a good mood. Diamond. Diamond. Quan Ziqing incidentally raised his head and stared firmly at Su Luo. His eyes were bloodshot and he was so shocked that he could not speak at all. He must have been blinded, right? How could the token in that girl's hand be the legendary diamond token? That's really impossible at all, okay? But the blinding light was really like a diamond. So Quan Ziqing was excited and rushed towards Su Luo regardless of the dangers. At this time Su Luo's brow frowned slightly. It's not because Quan Ziqing, but because of her amazing sixth sense. She felt that something was wrong on the ground. When Quan Ziqing rushed in, Su Luo subconsciously evaded to the side. And just then, bang 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 bang. The ground shook violently, making people dizzy and almost unable to stand. White figures fell to the ground. Su Luo's eyes were staring straight. 10-winged angels. They were all 10-winged angels. 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 30 in the middle. It was so many, Su Luo could not see clearly. No time to think about it. Su Luo's body rushed forward quickly, grabbing Lan Xian and Anya Ming with her left and right hands. She shouted discreetly to Bei Chen-ing and Zi Yan, who were in the middle of the battle. Run! The biggest advantage of Bei Chen-ing and Zi Yan was to listen to Su Luo. After hearing the words, no time to think, he immediately turned around and jumped out of the battle circle, and immediately followed behind Su Luo. The speed of the escape was astonishing. Several people who were fighting against Bei Qining and Ziyan were dumbfounded. But before they could recover, there was a strong hurricane behind them. But before they returned, a strong hurricane followed. They all turned around to look. First it was a surprise, then, one by one, the eyes suddenly retracted, leaving the word panic in their eyes. There were so many 10-winged angels, all densely packed. If this was converted into points, wouldn't they be happy? But that was the problem. It's because there were too many 10-winged angels, so the problem was big. Run! Quan Ziqing ordered. Without waiting for everyone to respond, he immediately took a step and quickly ran away. So the frightened team soon turned into a mess, and everyone ran madly towards the direction where Su Luo disappeared. But how fast were the 10-winged angels? How could they escape? The reason they came out was because of the hatred and summoning of the variant 10-winged angel, and because they killed the variant 10-winged angel, so the hatred was placed on all of them. A fierce battle sounded. Poor Quan Ziqing, before he took a few steps, he was surrounded by 10 10-winged angels. 10 10-winged angels, how powerful was their strength? It was unimaginable. Before Quan Ziqing reacted, his body had turned into a pile of flesh mud and slumped on the ground. The others were even worse. How could they be the opponents of these 10-winged angels? Although some of them ran out, they were soon carried back and crushed by the 10-winged angels like eagles catching chickens. There was only one person in the whole team who escaped. That person was Lung Xiyu. Lung Xiyu had a good luck. Because she had never joined the battle circle, so her eyes were looking at all directions. In fact, she was the first person who saw the appearance of the 10-winged angels. Even before Su Luo found out. When she saw it, she didn't even tell them. She kept retreating step by step, retreated to the corner, stepped out and ran away. Finally, she used the token in her hand to escape from the crazy battlefield. Chapter 1900. Entering the city, Lung Xiyu wiped away the cold sweat on her forehead, and her heart was still in shock. Fortunately, she ran fast, otherwise she wouldn't even know how she'd die. So many 10-winged angels, every one of them could slap her to death, which was really horrible. Lung Xiyu felt secretly grateful in her heart while touching her chest with a throbbing heartbeat. There was a slight noise on the wall in front of her. Lung Xiyu's heart stirred, and she was subconsciously hid among the trees. Then Su Luo's voice appeared. She had Lan Xian and Anya Ming in her left and right hands, and then she put them down. We're finally come out, our luck's still pretty good. Su Luo sighed slowly. So many 10-winged angels, if they can be converted into points, that would be great. Bei Qining licked his lips and drooled. Preserving your life is more important than these mere worldly possession. Besides, how can we fight so many 10-winged angels? Su Luo gave him an angry look. That team should be completely wiped out, right? Ziyan asked quietly on the side. They absolutely wouldn't be able to escape. Bei Qining said with a smile. If it wasn't for Luo's quick reaction, we also wouldn't be able to escape. Bei Qining remembered very clearly that when the door was opened, a figure of 10-winged angel rushed toward his back quickly, but he was also lucky. With a whoosh he was sent out, but most of the back part of his clothes were ripped off. Bei Qining changed his clothes. He still had the appearance of a young man with elegant demeanor. Su Luo turned her head and looked at the angel castle behind her quietly. Her eyes are thoughtful. She remembered that the man seemed to recognize the diamond token before, but fortunately, he had already been buried inside, and will never come out again. Master told her to keep a low profile, so she must keep low profile. Let's go. Su Luo exhaled slowly, leaving with the team quickly. They just came out of the gate of the hell, and did not expect, at this time, a pair of poisonous eyes were staring at their backs. Lung Xiyu saw Su Luo and the others leave, and took a long time before she came out. Turning back, there was a tightly closed door. Senior brothers, they. Lung Xiyu's brows furrowed. There were grief, sadness, and also worries in her eyes. In that team, everyone else would be fine, but Quan Ziqing, he was not a young disciple with no background. In fact, his background was very frightening. After going back, how to explain to his whole family? How to explain the fact that she's alive and the rest of the people were dead? Lung Xiu stroked her forehead and fell into deep contemplation, but soon, her eyes became brighter and brighter, and finally almost as bright as the stars. If she goes back and tells the whole family that senior brother and the others were killed, she escaped and dragged out an ignoble existence only in order to bring back the news. Yes, that's it. In this way, she could be cleared of the charge of running away alone. Then the question comes again, who killed Quan Ziqing and the others? Naturally, looking at the group of people that were only leaving little black spots on the road ahead, there was a strange sneer in the corner of Lung Xiu's mouth. Dare to offend her? Haha. What's more, she was determined to take the points on that girl. After Lung Xiu had made up her mind, she took a shortcut and quickly dashed toward Purgatory City. Su Luo and the others didn't know that they hadn't even entered the Purgatory City yet, but they already being remembered. At this time, they had been going for half an hour, and the gate of Purgatory City had stood in front them. Chapter 1901. Entering the city for the Purgatory City was huge, and its walls were as dark as ink, giving people a deep sense of depression. Standing under the city gate, there was a sense of suffocation. The strong pressure made people having difficulty taking a step. 2 words, Purgatory City, had a majestic air, almost flying out of the plaque. The city gate was towering into the clouds, the length of which was beyond one's sight, powerful and impressive. The group of people stopped under the gate. Ziyan grew up in Purgatory City since she was a child, so she did not feel it deeply, but Su Luo and the others deeply felt the terrible power of Purgatory City. Ziyan had the right to freely enter Purgatory City, but had no right to bring people in. So there were some problems here. The person who guards the city gate did not allow them in. Senior sister can go in, but the other people, without the written instructions of 3 elders, no one could bring them in. I hope senior sister will forgive me. Today the one guarding the gate was the disciple of the 3rd elder. She was arrogant and despotic. She raised her chin and keeping people 1,000 miles away. Ziyan frowned coldly and said, "This is not someone else. There is no written order from the 3 elders, but it is the city master's command. Do you still dare to stop it?" The 3rd elder's holy maiden name was robbed by Ziyan. So the disciples of the 3rd elder had always been unhappy with Ziyan. There's no reason to be close. What's more, now they were confident that they were right. Therefore Lani coldly repeated, "Senior sister, without the instructions of the 3 elders, no one can send strangers in." Later, she glanced coldly at Su Luo and the others. She was arrogant and sneered coldly. "An important place like Purgatory City, do you think you can come in just because you want to come in?" As for what Ziyan said, that it was commanded by the city master personally, Lani absolutely did not believe it. Not to mention that the city master was quite mysterious at his whereabouts, appearing at one moment and disappearing the next. Even if the city master reveal his whereabouts, how could he open his mouth for an outsider? This was simply impossible. Behind Lani, all the people she led also burst into laughter. Ziyan's complexion was livid. At the beginning, she was young and weak in martial arts, and her master was absent all the year round, so although she had the name of the Holy Maiden, she was not a true Holy Maiden. What's more, she had been outside these past few years. Now it seemed that these people didn't take her seriously. But the corner of Ziyan's eyes slightly formed a taunting curve. Others didn't know, but she knew it clearly. Master's attitude towards Su Luo was incomparably indulging. She dared to say that as long as Su Luo told her master that she wanted the whole Purgatory City, it's very likely that her master would ask, would one Purgatory City be enough? So Lani and these people. Ziyan sneered in her heart. Of course, if there's the support of the city master. But now the city master was not here at all, so they could only handle these trivial matters themselves. Before Ziyan could speak, Su Luo smiled slightly and took out a token and handed it to Ziyan. "Show this to them." It was a diamond token. Su Luo didn't hide it at all. She showed her token. Luo. Ziyan was not sure. "Didn't master tell you that should you keep a low profile? It would very high profile if you take it out like this." Su Luo smiled. High profile or low profile only in the heart. In other words, no matter what the outside world is like, As long as she keeps her heart, as long as she practices diligently, she will achieve the original intention of her master and foster father. What's more, before she entered the Purgatory City, Su Luo already felt the hidden danger in Purgatory City. Chapter 1902. Entering the city 5. If Su Luo did show her identity, if she withdraw into passive defense again and again, with her current strength, she could be bullied if other people want to bully her. By then, it's really possible that she would be killed and chopped. Because with the point system, it was not unforgivable to injure or kill one another. Therefore, Su Luo was going to disclose her identity now. As long as she revealed her identity, at least, no one dared to play tricks behind her. Now that you have made up your mind, that's fine. Ziyan was also happy. Returning to Purgatory City, if she was still so aggrieved, she would not be able to adapt. So Ziyan, with a cold face, holding the diamond token in front of Lan Yi, shaking it, and talked with arrogant voice. Look clearly, you still don't want to open the gate? Diamond token, the supreme existence of Purgatory City, the status was comparable to 3 elders. Lan Yi naturally knows that there was such a thing as the diamond token, and she had seen once or twice, but she was not sure whether the diamond token in front of her were real or fake. Whether it's real or not, if she said it's fake, then it's bound to be fake. So Lan Yi glanced coldly at Ziyan. Ziyan, how audacious of you. In order to let strangers enter the city, dare to use a fake diamond token to deceive us. Come, arrest them all. Step, step, step. A group of people flashed behind Lan Yi. There were young men, there were young ladies. One by one looks fierce and aggressive. A group of people quickly surrounded Su Luo and the others in a circle. As long as Lan Yi ordered, they dared to surround Su Luo and the others and kill them on the spot. The atmosphere was stiff for a moment. Ziyan was almost mad with anger. Did Lan Yi have a brain damage? How dare she try kill her? In any case, she's also a proper holy maiden, okay? What's more, Su Luo. If Su Luo had injuries even a little bit, Lan Yi and the group of people behind the Lan Yi would all be buried together. Lan Yi, you're looking for death. Ziyan was telling the truth. But it was quite obvious that Lan Yi wouldn't listen to the truth, only to see her laughed and sneered. She raised her hand and immediately gave order. Faking a diamond token, a crime punishable by death. Holy maiden together with the common people, all guilty, come on, kill on sight. She immediately rushed toward Ziyan first. She hated Ziyan. She knew that only when Ziyan was eliminated, the name of the Holy Maiden would once again return to the third elder. And the Holy Maiden should belong to the third elder. Let me see if you're as weak as you used to be in the past few years. Lan Yi, like hawks and falcons, pounced on Ziyan, using a deadly killing move. Lan Yi, damn you. Ziyan scolded. Ziyan didn't expect that Lan Yi would be so cruel. She just wanted to kill her. Then when the moment came, even if the matter was reported to the elders, dead man could tell no tales. It was a good scheme, but Ziyan would never let your scheme succeed. Ziyan sneered, and then make a killing move. When she first came out of Purgatory City, she was only a small 7th rank, but at that time, the strength of Lan Yi was much higher than her, so Lan Yi dared to be so arrogant in front of her. However, when the two face each other, Lan Yi was shocked. After two people face each other, the figures crossed and stood face to face. You! Lan Yi's round eyes glared at her, looking at Ziyan incredulously. How could your strength rise so fast? I don't believe it. Ziyan smiled coldly, did not answer. A scholar who had been away 3 days must be looked with new eyes. No wonder you dare to be so arrogant. It turns out that you have nothing to fear. Lan Yi's face was malevolent, and the envy in her eyes couldn't be disguised. In that case, let's see what you have. Chapter 1903. Entering the city 6. Ziyan, who used to be much weaker than her, grew so fast in just a few years, which made Lan Yi felt for uncomfortable. It was as if the person she had been looking down on had become a person who was on an equal footing with her, which made her very vigilant, and her thought of getting rid of Ziyan became more and more serious. The two of them made several moves in a row, but because their strength were equally matched, the battle was stuck for a while. Apart from these two people, The rest also did not stay idle, because the disciples of the third elder who had surrounded them all rushed to kill them on the spot. Who can endure? I can't endure it. Fight. Beichening was furious, with his eyes was a little bloodshot. He couldn't believe it. With the master of Purgatory City protecting Su Luo like that, but their group of people could still be bullied like this. Beichening led the two men, Lan Xian and An Yiming, to fight with those people. The situation was difficult to tell for a while. Su Luo stood in place, her expression did not change, her eyes were unfathomable. She sighed secretly. The journey to Purgatory City, it was not peaceful at all. First, the Blood Mist Forest, and then the Angel Castle. With a great difficulty they finally came to Purgatory City, but was blocked outside the gate, and a life-and-death battle? It was really intense. Su Luo smiled bitterly and shook her head. It seemed that Purgatory City was more dangerous than she thought. However, the more dangerous it was, the faster her strength would rise. After watching the battle for a while, Su Luo frowned. Because during the battle, she saw Lan Yi sent out a blue flare. As soon as the blue flare came out, Ziyan's attack became more and more fierce. It was obvious that she wanted to resolve the battle as quickly as possible. Su Luo assumed from this that Lan Yi was trying to look for help. Sure enough, within a short period of time, a figure in yellow clothes flashed before them. The speed of the person in yellow clothes was very fast. Su Luo could see at a glance that her strength was higher than Ziyan and Lan Yi. Huang Yi stood above the city wall, and her cold face looked down arrogantly. Senior sister Huang Yi, help me to take Ziyan down. She dared to fabricate a fake diamond token to try to bring spies into the city. The speed of Lan Yi's complaint was very fast. Nonsense. The diamond token is real. Ziyan said coldly. Huang Yi glanced at Su Luo and the others coldly, then said to Ziyan, "Are you bringing in people from the outside?" "It was Master's order." Ziyan sneered. "Ziyan, how dare you have the audacity to lie?" Huang Yi's body descended from the city wall, and then she moved towards Ziyan. Hateful. Ziyan's heart is full of bitterness. She could barely cope with Lan Yi, and now Huang Yi came. She really wanted cry. Huang Yi shot a killing move. The cold sword was drawn from its sheath. She stabbed toward Ziyan's back like a snake. Huang Yi's technique was not a tricky one. She stabbed in a straight line, but because of the fast speed, Ziyan wouldn't be able to resist it with her strength. Just at this critical moment, there's a clanging noise. Two white lights flashed by. This was the light from the sword. When they looked at it again, the cold sword in Huang Yi's hand only remained the hilt. As for the blade of the sword, it was lying quietly on the ground at this time. For a while, the surroundings were very quiet. Chapter 1904. A beautiful woman in a red robe won. All the people involuntarily stopped their moves and stared at the ground. No one dared to look at Huang Yi's face. At this time, Huang Yi, on her delicate face, the look in her eyes was unpredictable. She stared at Su Luo and bit her lower lip. There was an uncontrollable anger in her voice. "Did you do that?" The amber sword that Master gave her was cut off. It was a humiliation. The greatest humiliation in her life. Huang Yi was the third disciple under the third elder. She had always been cold, arrogant, and also have a powerful strength, and no one dared make her lose face, but now her face was trampled until nothing left. Do your eyes only serve as decoration? If you see it clearly, do you still need to ask me? Su Luo replied unhappily. What Huang Yi did just now was a killing move. If Ziyan was stabbed by her, she would really die. How could Su Luo not angry? Therefore, she directly destroyed Huang Yi's sword with the Chungying sword. This was because she was worried that she hadn't entered the city yet, and hadn't gained a firm foothold. Otherwise, she would take Huang Yi's life on the spot. Good, very good. Seeing Su Luo's calm and relaxed expression, Huang Yi was so angry that the veins on her forehead was pulsating. Her fingers were clenched into fists, and the blue veins on the back of her hands almost jumped out. Go die. Huang Yi was furious, and then made a series of moves. Every move was fatal. Su Luo was not an ordinary person either. Facing Huang Yi's moves, she saw the moves and could avoid them every time. The strengths of the two people were equal, They were caught up in an irresolvable situation for a while. Finally, two people each used the finishing blow. The two people crossed each other. Their palms collide. At this time, because of the collision between two people, the heaven and earth were shaking with great force. I didn't expect that you really have some strength. It seems like I won't be able to kill you without a few tricks. Huang Yi sneered a few times, then she raised her hand, and a long whip appeared in her hand. The long whip was light blue. She didn't know what material it was made of, but the blue color gave people a feeling of heart palpitations. Su Luo's sight stayed on the long whip, and suddenly she felt a bad premonition in her heart, as if the long whip could absorb a human soul. Subconsciously, Su Luo clenched her fists. Half a month ago, Master gave me this soul whip. You will be the first one to die under the soul whip. It's your honor to be able to let my soul whip drink blood. Huang Yi's voice was cold and flat, without any trace of emotion. It was as if Su Luo die under her soul whip was a matter of course. Soul whip? It was really something that had a deterrent effect on the soul. At this time, Su Luo had calmed down. Facing the contempt from Huang Yi, she still looked so calm and collected. She smiled boldly. Is that so? Why do I think that the poor one would be you? Then try. The voice had not fallen yet, but Huang Yi's figure had already run towards Su Luo like lightning. That speed was so fast, it was not visible to the naked eye. The blue whip was rushing towards Su Luo. Its target was Su Luo's eyes. Looking at those pair of beautiful eyes that were about to be destroyed, all the people around them stared at Su Luo for a moment. Their eyes were so tense that they even felt difficulty to breathe. Su Luo could strongly feel the pressure coming from the soul whip, making people feel fear and oppressed deep within the soul. But at this moment, Su Luo sneered at the corner of her mouth. Nothingness of space, tightly wrapped around Su Luo. Chapter 1905. A beautiful woman in a red robe too at the same time. Huang Yi's figure had entered the scope of Su Luo's nothingness of space. Because Su Luo had the nothingness of space, she was unrivaled within the same rank. This sentence was not casually spoken, but had a strong theoretical facts to prove it. So now Huang Yi, who had just entered the nothingness space, although all around was transparent, she did not see anything, but she felt her body was being restrained, to the extent that her heartbeat was somewhat a little sluggish. As they fight, a tiny lapse could lead to a huge mistake. Therefore, in such a short moment, Huang Yi was caught by Su Luo, only to see her body was flashing like a ghost, and when Huang Yi came up on her, her figure quickly dodged behind Huang Yi. She turned her wrist. Yanhua dagger suddenly appeared in her right palm. The white fingers held the dagger tightly. This time, the dagger didn't cut Huang Yi's neck, because there wasn't enough time. As a result, Su Luo immediately made a decision, and the sharp dagger was inserted directly into Huang Yi's back. And that place was very close to the heart. Slash. There was a clear sound in the air, a dagger entering the flesh. But Huang Yi was worthy of Huang Yi, and at the most critical moment, she tried her best to avoid it. She thought it would be all right to avoid at her own speed. But poor Huang Yi, it was the first time for her to face Su Luo's nothingness space. She didn't know that her speed would be reduced in this nothingness of space. Therefore, the poor Huang Yi was still hit, although it was not a fatal heart injury. Huang Yi was shocked. She looked down in disbelief, and saw that on the chest, her clothes was permeated with blood. And the blood also spread rapidly with the speed visible to the naked eye, like a blooming peony flower. The moment when Huang Yi was shocked, Su Luo had another chinging sword in her hand. Huang Yi could feel the danger coming, and she jumped forward subconsciously. At this time, Chenging's sword broke away from Su Luo's palm, chasing behind Huang Yi, continuously chasing behind her. Huang Yi kept running. Su Luo enveloped her with nothingness of space. Chenging's sword chased behind Huang Yi's but again and again. This scene looked funny, but no one laughed. With Huang Yi's strength, Su Luo kept chasing her, and there was no road to the sky, nor door into the earth, which made Lan Yi's face look solemn, and the chill in her eyes were colder. Just as Chenging's sword was chasing Huang Yi, Su Luo stopped, because Huang Yi ran around the circle, and soon she would automatically bump into Su Luo. Sure enough, what Su Luo expected was true. Huang Yi ran toward Su Luo. Su Luo stood in the same place with a smile, but her eyes fell on the soul whip in the hands of Huang Yi. Did this soul whip affect her soul? She didn't know if its power was that powerful. At this moment, Su Luo urged Cheng-Ying's sword to speed up, and when she and Huang Yi was crossing each other, she turned her wrist like a butterfly and made a complicated imprint. So the soul whip automatically appeared in Su Luo's hands. As soon as the soul whip was in her hand, Su Luo had no time to observe. Instead, she directly lashed the whip directly towards Huang Yi's back. She still deeply remembered the words Huang Yi said a moment ago. At the beginning, Huang Yi didn't realize that the soul whip was no longer in her hand. When she felt the powerful pressure on her soul and the feeling of danger on her back, she realized that the soul whip she held in the palm of her hand was gone. Chapter 1906. A beautiful woman in a red robe. 3 Hateful. Huang Yi was mad with anger. Her present image, to tell the truth, was quite embarrassing. She was covered with sweat, her hair was messy, her clothes was sweaty, sticking to her back. But no matter how she shouted, she was still the one who was in a disadvantage. Huang Yi knew that if she was chased like this, she wouldn't be able to protect her life. But as long as the green hills were preserved, one wouldn't need to worry about firewood. There was a whole faction of the third elder behind her. Was she still afraid she couldn't get revenge for today? So Huang Yi ran to the side and shouted to Su Luo, "I am not as good as you today, wait." Before she could continue her words, the soul whip in Su Luo's hand lashed towards her forehead accurately. Wait. Wait for what? Su Luo had a bad memory, so she never hold a grudge. Because if there was an enmity, she usually revenged it right away. If she wait for Yellow Dress to shout out truce words, how could she still revenge? So without waiting for Huang Yi to shout out the words, Su Luo directly focused the spirit power on her whole body and smashed heavily against Huang Yi with the whip. This whip was shaking heaven and earth. Huang Yi's figure was thrashed ruthlessly and thrown out in a distance, slamming heavily on the city gate. The massive city gate was directly smashed down. In a moment, the entire city gate collapsed, as if it was exploded in an instant. Don't know what mechanism was triggered by the collapsing of the city gate. At this time, the sky was covered with black clouds, as if they were covering the sky for hundreds of miles. Covered with the black clouds, Ziyan murmured. Her expression was changing. We really won't be able to keep a low profile now. Covered with black clouds means a black alarm. Purgatory City had white alarm, orange alarm, etc., and black alarms. That's already a serious level. Su Luo. Her expression changed slightly. She stared blankly at the soul whip in her hands. At this moment, the whip had broken into several inches and fell on the ground. She didn't expect that her anger would cause such serious consequences. When the gate of the city collapsed, a black alarm appeared. How is this good? Ah. She remembered that when she was using all her strength just now, she seemed to also use the Yun Luo Red Lotus. Think of it, the large part of the powerful power should be drawn from the Yun Luo Red Lotus. Yu. Lonnie stared at Su Luo incredulously. Her lips was trembling and couldn't say a complete sentence. Lonnie was completely scared. You are all dead. Lonnie lay down the threat and rushed to Huang Yi. Huang Yi was very favored by Master. If something happened to her, then she could also be blamed by Master. Lonnie quickly walked to Huang Yi. When she saw Huang Yi's condition, her legs felt like a jelly and she almost knelt down. The current condition of Huang Yi was really miserable, cannot be described with words. At this time, her originally dark hair had been broken into pieces, and her original delicate face was full of cracks, just like a fist hitting the ice. A crack like a spider web would form around the center of the fist, just like the crack on the Huang Yi's face at this time. A ghastly sight, really horrible. Lonnie turned around and looked at Su Luo with hate. But she didn't even think that at this moment. She looked at Su Luo with a trace of fear in her eyes. Chapter 1907. A beautiful woman in a red robe. For Su Luo looked at the person who was frightened by her power silently. She touched her nose and took a step back. After she took a step back, The originally quiet scene seemed to be lifted and turned lively in a moment. Ziyan looked at Su Luo deeply and took a deep breath. This matter will not end easily. I know. Su Luo was helpless. Don't know if she would die. If she really die, things would be even more troublesome. But don't worry, you have the diamond token. Even if the 3 elders come, they won't make things difficult for you. Ziyan whispered to Su Luo. Su Luo glanced helplessly at Ziyan. You crow's mouth. Because at this time, Su Luo could clearly feel that the 3 powerful figures were flying rapidly towards them. Their speed were amazingly fast. Which brother is going to visit Purgatory City? Excuse us for not going out to meet you. Please be magnanimous to forgive us. Elder Hitian descended on the ground from the air. Su Luo looked at him subconsciously. This was an elderly man with a white hair and a childlike face. His eyes were bright, lively and full of energy. His cultivation was unfathomable. What's more surprising was, those eyes were so calm without ripple. He was followed by 2 people. One was a middle-aged person with ordinary face. The other was a red-robed woman. The beautiful eyes of the red-robed woman swept over the ground. And when she saw the collapsed Huang Yi and the frightened Lan Yi, her eyebrows frowned tightly. She walked forward quickly and stood high. She said, "Who harmed Huang Yi?" Her voice was very weak, but it revealed a cold and murderous intention. Lan Yi saw the beautiful woman in a red robe, her lips trembling with fear, but her eyes were full of excitement. Her fingers trembled and pointed directly to Su Luo without any hesitation. For a while, all eyes were focused on Su Luo, including the 3 elders that just arrived. When the beautiful woman in a red robe saw her face, her expression looked a little shaken. She had always been proud of her beauty, but in front of Su Luo, her heart raised a strong jealousy. She had to admit that even when she returned to her best years, her face could not be compared with the girl in front of her. Some people were born to make others feel ashamed of their inferiority. For example, the city master. For example, the girl in front of her. After being shocked for a moment, the eyes of the beautiful woman in a red robe were burning with anger, and unexplained anger quickly rushed to her heart. However, instead of talking to Su Luo, she kept her eyes on the other woman. Ziyan, the beautiful woman in the red robe, frowned, stared at Ziyan coldly, and said angrily, "Do you know your mistake?" Ziyan doesn't know where the mistake is. Although Ziyan was a little frightened, she stayed with Su Luo for a long time. Su Luo's calmness and composure deeply affected her. What's more, she was confident that her master was backing her. She felt reassured. "You're really bold." The beautiful woman in a red robe smiled coldly. "These are the people you brought?" She pointed her finger at Su Luo and the others. She swept Su Luo lightly with her eyes, showing disgust in her eyes, as if Su Luo and the others were just detestable flies, and she was too lazy to speak to them. "I brought them," Ziyan said indifferently. Her eyes were glancing at the 3rd elder. The 3rd elder believed that she was favored by the city master. Therefore she behaved like a tyrant in the whole Purgatory City, and she had a high status. The other 2 elders had always turned a blind eye, so she developed her spoiled and unrestrained temperament. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.